Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well, and at least not dead. Welcome to r/ Boomers Being Fools, where boomers are the most foolish beings in all the multiverses. If you enjoy, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and all that other stuff. Now let's get started, shall we? Boomer mom feels entitled to my non existent children. Let me start this by saying my 39 non binary mother usually doesn't come up with this boomer BS. I almost ran off the road in rage when she popped off with this. An extended family member, Lex, and his wife just had their first baby. They were very cautious about the pregnancy and didn't want a lot of attention about it. When they announced their son's birth, they let everyone know they would take no visitors for a few days to allow for bonding time. When they did allow visitors, they didn't want anyone else holding the baby. Somehow this deeply upset and offended my mother, despite the fact that Lex's family lives 10 hours away, and he wouldn't recognize her if she walked up and slapped him. Kinda like this. I think she has met Lex a total of 3 times maybe. As she was ranting, she said, "When you and wife have a baby, you better not pull this bullshit about letting me visit, but not hold the baby. I am that baby's grandmother, and I am entitled to hold it." I lost my crud and told her that whatever the parents' rules are how it goes, and no one is entitled to anyone else's kid. Of course, my mother was also deeply offended when her niece stated no one was allowed to kiss her baby's head. Mom tried to break the rule and was scolded. She got pissed about that too. I told her to just get over it and that my wife and I would have the same exact rule. She insisted she would be exempt because I just can't help it. I have to. I hope this boomer BS isn't going to become a regular occurrence. I finally got her and my dad away from conservative stupidity, and now there's this. I just can't handle it. If you literally can't stop yourself from kissing the baby when you're near, you will not be allowed near the baby. You better get working on that willpower if I'm being honest. Anyway, on to the next story. Boomer in-laws upset that we're moving out of state because we want to start a family. Being a woman in Texas, I have no desire to get pregnant or start a family here. My husband and I have always wanted children, though, so we started looking at relocating to a state with better abortion laws, schools, and OBGYN access. He's 100% on board with me and doesn't want me to die of a preventable death because of asinine laws, obfuscating what qualifies as a life-saving abortion. Texas also has no mandatory maternity leave. The only thing we have is 6 months unpaid FMLA. Someone has corrected me. It's actually 12 weeks or 3 months of unpaid leave. We finally told his parents that we're moving this past Thanksgiving, and now his parents are upset that they'll never see us or their future grandkids. They both voted for Trump, despite father-in-law receiving 100% disability from the VA and only being able to afford their current home because of a good VA loan and exemption from paying property taxes. When we are moving is a full 24-hour drive away on the East Coast, and my father-in-law refuses to fly because of PTSD, so their only option is to drive or take a Greyhound bus, I guess. It's not really my problem, to be honest with you. They've already had their other children distance themselves from them because father-in-law can't stop talking politics. He was ranting to me at Thanksgiving about how Kamala wanted Medicare for all, and that was bad, despite him getting VA healthcare plus Medicare himself. We live pretty close to them and already only see them a few times a year. I imagine we'll only see them once every year or every other year once we move. If you vote for policies that aren't pregnancy and family friendly, don't be surprised when young people who want to start a family move off to another state. Such a smart decision on your part. Way to take good care of yourself and your family. On to the next story. You want to go home? Why? You only did CPR for like 5 minutes. My newish friend slash coworker had a heart attack and died at work the other day. We all heard a crash coming from his cubicle. A lady screamed. When I got over there, he was lying face down, barely breathing and all blue. A couple of us rolled him over, stretched him out and checked his vital. I was an EMT in another life. He had no heartbeat and was only reflexive breathing. We began CPR. Another lady called 911 and then ran down to the main level to direct the first responders. 2 of us worked on him for 10 to 15 minutes before paramedics arrived. Gosh dang, it was horrible. The sounds he made, the ribs cracking, the blank stare. As soon as they wheeled him out of the building, they pronounced him dead somewhere else. My boomer boss, late 60, goes,
"Okay, that's enough excitement, everyone. Let's get back at it."
With that, he clapped his hands once and scurried back to his office. I didn't feel like doing any more sales calls for a minute, so I just sat on the office couch for a while. After 5 minutes or so, he noticed I wasn't making my calls and came to confront me.
"Hey, perk up. No point in wallowing in there. Let's get back to work."
And a single clap. Nah, man, he was my friend, and that was troubling. I'm gonna need a while. I might go home for the rest of the day.
For what? You're not tired, are you? You only had to do CPR for barely 5 minutes.
I just grabbed my keys and left. Screw that guy. When I got back to work the next day, he goes,
"I hope you aren't planning on acting out again today. I was this close to letting you go yesterday."
That is truly awful. I am so sorry. Most people don't understand that CPR is exhausting, physically and mentally. You did your best, and I'm so sorry that happened. Anyway, on to the next story. She said no. This happened last week at my local grocery store. This boomer is known in my small town as a pervert, and he hits on teenagers all the time. My 17-year-old and I are on our way to the checkout when we encounter the guy. He's walking beside a young girl saying,
"All I want you to do is to live in my house and spend my money."
This poor girl keeps stammering a no while the young man she's with is laughing at her discomfort. I step forward, but before I can do anything, my 17-year-old daughter is between them, firmly saying she said no. He started saying,
"He was joking."
And all my daughter would say is, "She said no. Now go away," with every sentence. When he finally left, she turned to the boy and laid into him for not stepping in sooner. I have never been more proud of my daughter. You've done a great job raising your girl if she's willing to step up when people are in trouble like that. I hope my little ones end up the same someday. On to the next story. This sub allowed me to say something that stopped my mom dead in her tantrum. I just had a call with my mom, who started having a tantrum over the phone with me, because I had to cancel a trip to see her. I'm used to these, as she'll get her way when she's really looking forward to something. I had to cancel, but the trip was still 2 months away, and I was trying to tell her I would come a month or so later. She insists that won't work, but can't give me a reason why, and continues her tantrum. You see, Mom, this is why you have no grandchildren. Why? It's because I don't want to have to try and explain to a child that they're not allowed to have a tantrum, but Grandma is allowed. The comment stunned her, and then 5 seconds later she goes, "Okay, let me know when you can come." Nice one, I'll remember that. It's always super handy when we find a way to turn an argument ever so gently, or not so gently in this case, in a different direction. It immediately puts each other in a different headspace and allows us to look at an argument a little more reasonably. My boomer mom didn't want to wear her diabetic shoes anymore. She already had one toe amputated due to a small injury that didn't heal. Her endocrinologist, who was a shitty doctor by the way, tried to tell her she needed to wear them more. She still refused and her doctor just gave up. I'm sure he deals with it all day, every day. So I said to my mom, "That's okay, Mom. We'll just keep cutting off more and more toes until you do want to wear them." And then she looked stunned, turned to the doctor, who gave him an emphatic shoulder shrug while pointing and looking at me. The next day, she was wearing them again. Anyway, on to the next story. Putting up a Trump sign. So my neighbor was trying to put up a vote for Trump sign. She was having issues, so I helped. I may not like Trump, but I get everyone has the right to their opinion. I was totally wearing an anti-Trump shirt, by the way. As I said, everyone has a right to their opinions. She started going on and on about Harris and Biden have completely destroyed the country, and I'm just like, doesn't seem destroyed to me. And then she started talking about Venezuela sending all its criminals here to kill Americans. And I'm like, how many stories have you heard about Venezuelans killing Americans? She said none, because the news is covering for Biden. She was telling me that basically everything bad about Trump was created by AI to make him look bad. I said, as a teacher, how do you feel about him talking about Arnold Palmer's dick, where children may have been? She said, it absolutely didn't happen. It was AI. I said, many sources verified. And she's like, most news is against Trump and they lie. To think she's a school teacher. Oh my god, that's so scary. Did you ask her why her school is currently doing gender reassignment surgery on minors without parental consent? I'm sure she would have lost her mind at that one. The boomer dad can't figure out why I don't buy a home. I showed him my income, and we did the math. After rent, car, groceries, and insurance, I have nothing left over.
You should get a second job.
I already have two.
You're a fool for paying rent. Buy a house.
Okay, I think this is where we started, Dad. And then he goes right into,
right out of college, I was struggling, so I got an apartment for $150 a month, but I only made $800 a month, so your rent was 1/5 your income. That would be like me finding an apartment for $500.
Well, rent is a lot cheaper, then it should be fine. I showed him the exact apartment he had for $150 is now $2,400.
You need to get another job.
I told you already, I have two.
Then you should get a good union job at a factory like I did. Work hard.
Those don't exist anymore, Dad. Honestly, those boomers were complicit in destroying those good union jobs. Anyway, on to the next story. My boomer dad is pissed I won't give him my baby's social security number. That's right! My dad thinks I should just give him my kid's social security number like it's no big deal. He wants to start a bank account for my little guy. It sounds harmless, but parents suck at taking care of their finances. They have been bankrupt at least once and bailed out every few years by my grandparents while they were still living. When I moved out at 20, I found out they had overdue utility bills in my name, so I couldn't open up any accounts in my first apartment until I paid it off for them. They took money from me as a minor while I was working at my first job and emptied $1,500 from my savings account and never paid it back to this day. I don't trust them at all. Parents have been hounding my hubby and I for weeks, if not months, and we have been politely dodging it. My parents are starting to get angry. I politely told my dad and parents that the baby already has a savings account, and they can contribute to it if they like. And that they flipped out on. They demand the baby's social security number and start calling us names. I flat out say no at this point. I tell them they didn't need the social security number to open the savings account in which the baby's the beneficiary. They counter that they do. They then proceed to tell me that my baby won't receive any money from them until they get it. I don't care. Pretty sure they don't have anything anyway besides the inheritance money after my grandparents died that they're literally smoking through. My dad even had my grandpa change his will less than 6 months before his death and showing signs of dementia. My grandpa, right before he died, asked me what my dad had him sign and showed me the new will, asking me to translate it. It was leaving us, the grandkids, out, and Dad was the sole proprietor, executor, and power of attorney. Everything was changed. There was no point in contesting it. Hubby and I want to cut ties and move far away anyhow. We could not care less over 10,000. There's more ways for they abuse money and positions of power. I called one of the top 5 nationwide banks in the US, and they say you don't. Either way, it's not happening. They tried to corner my husband behind my back, and he didn't budge either. The anger continues. Snide comments at every holiday so far, and baby's birthday is coming up. I don't care. My idiot brother doled out his kid's social security number without consent from his wife, or thinking about it. My parents say I don't trust them. No crud, I don't. Tell your idiot brother's wife to do a credit check on our kid. Like, oh boy, that is not good. That is not good. Thank you all for watching today's video. I will see you all next time. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below with your own stories or thoughts on the stories below. Bye-bye.